Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and this is the Watford FA Cup preview. Manchester United hosting the Hornets at Old Trafford in the third round of football's oldest cup competition. Joining me are two of my favourite co-presenters, Ronaldo Brown. How are we doing, mate? You okay?
I'm doing okay as I can be after the result last night, but let's not get into that too much. We can only look ahead.
We can only look ahead. I think that's a good bit of advice following the City result. We'll be getting into that a little bit more later on. And of course, Alex Baggers, how are you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, similar. Not been very happy after last night. Everyone's kind of in a bit of a bad mood and just, I think we were all expecting that this was the one. We've been on a bit good run of form. This was the one. We were going to get to a final. We're going to win a trophy. And then last night kind of brought that down. But then, like Ronaldo said, we've got to move on, get on to the next game, and another cup competition. Let's get another cup run going.
Another cup competition, indeed. It feels like it's going to be a bit of a therapy session, this. Everyone's a bit like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
Night.
City lost a derby, another cup competition. Oh, we've got to beat the semi-final. Ollie's record in cup competitions, I mean, it depends on your point of view. It's not bad because, he does get to the latter stages of cup competitions, but we can't get past the semi-final. There seems to be a bit of a ceiling on the achievements of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the semi-final stage. And if you look at his record, we've got a graphic here. His record in cup competitions since he took over at Manchester United. Now, he's had I don't know if you can use the word success, but if you look at quarter-final of the FA Cup, quarter-final of the Champions League, semi-final of the Carabao Cup, semi-final of the FA Cup, semi-final of the Europa League, semi-final of the Carabao Cup, that's not terrible. That's not, going out early doors or going out to poor teams. But Manchester United, we should be more than just getting to semi-finals, Baggers.
Yeah, I agree. You look at that record there, and you look at the quarter-final and got knocked out by Wolves, and that was, we've seen in even the results in the last, when we beat them the other day, they're still a bogey team for us. But then, I think then that there definitely has been progression. You look at the Champions League when we got knocked out, got absolutely outplayed by Barcelona over the two legs, completely in a different league. We then played the next semi-final is the Carabao Cup against City, where in that first leg, I think me and Steve discussed it before the game last night and said that that's the first. We looked so far behind Manchester City that time, ridiculously far behind. Obviously, semi-final of the FA Cup, I think that got put down to a little bit of Ollie was rotating. The league was his priority, and he decided that the FA Cup didn't have as much importance, and put a few different players in. And I think that turned out to be a mistake. But last night's knockout we looked better. We went toe to toe with Man City. We didn't obviously get the result, but it was a couple of mistakes. It was the fine margins that people brought up. It wasn't, we got beat by a team miles away from us. We got beat by a good team on the day. We looked like we could have scored goals. Sadly, didn't take the chances, but there's definitely been a progression. And if you look at that, the knockout by Barcelona to where we're at now, the team's in a completely different frame of mind. And I think the disappointment last night was that we felt like we were the better team than Man City so far this season and didn't manage to show it last night.
For anyone wondering as well, just quickly, we are recording this the day after the City game, and if in case anyone's going, United played last night. Oh my God, I missed that one. What happened? Ronnie, when it comes to the cups, I mean, Manchester United, we are about trophies. We usually win trophies. Even under post Alex Ferguson, we've still won the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Europa League. It's not been a complete disaster. And obviously with Fergie, we had lots of trophies. Do you feel like Ollie needs a cup, a trophy? Because, looking at that form, okay, you're going out of that stages, we're doing all right in the league. Or do you feel like it's still all about the league and challenging there?
Well, the league is a trophy in itself, isn't it?
Well, maybe 21 is coming.
But you are right. We are Man United at the end of the day, and we win competitions to win them, and that's the bottom line of it. And pressure does build up if you're United manager if you're not bringing in silverware, because that's basically what the aim of the game is. And as for last night, I think we might have got City at the wrong time when they've began to find a little bit of form. They started to look better than they have in the earlier parts of the season. It looked a bit lethargic to begin with. They found themselves a little bit, and we looked tired. I don't want to use that as too much of an excuse, but a couple of our marquee players looked a bit fatigued last night, and that might be why going into this Watford game we need to rest quite a few players. And I know we've been talking about it's the FA Cup, it's the third round. You don't want to get knocked out, or you don't want to slip up by going in there with too weak of a side, because Watford are not a bad side. But I think we do need to rest players, and it's an interesting one because I'm saying that, but we don't want to go out because winning the FA Cup would also be good as well because it's silverware and that's what we need to do. But this record that we have in recent times of going out in the quarters, going out in the semis, that needs to change because there's always something a little bit distasteful about that, because it almost seems worse sometimes. People often say that it's worse to lose a semi-final than to lose in the final sometimes. Some people may argue that because it feels like you're just nearly there all the time and you don't want to be a bit of a nearly side.
I think on that as well, just jumping at getting so far in the competition, especially in Europa League, the Carabao Cup, where, it's added games, it's added fixtures, We didn't really need an extra fixture last night. You look at Liverpool, who, got knocked out really early on in this competition, managed to rest players and they've had that week off in quite an important part of the season. And it's almost in these competitions, if you don't win them, it's almost a waste. It's a lot of wasted energy in the latter parts. To get to a final and not win it, the amount of games you've had to play extra to other teams. Whereas you look at Liverpool got knocked out in the early rounds of this, they've had weeks off and they've been able to rest players. And when they've got a depleted squad, it's kind of. So I think that's the other frustration is that you want to go far in these competitions, you want to win them, but I think that it's not just the disappointment of losing a semi-final, it's the disappointment of we've had to play an extra game at the minute, which is no one needs, especially when everything's been condensed. And I think that's probably stresses people out as much as anything.
I think for me the stress was, Ronaldo, the stress is losing to them bastards at Old Trafford.
But what I would say on that though is hindsight's always 20/20 because you can always say that. It's true. But you can always easily say, "Oh, we didn't want the extra game anyway." When you don't win the competition, but if you actually do go and win it, then it's a trophy in the bag. You can't. Teams obviously don't go into cup competitions with the mindset. Sometimes they do, thinking.
I think Liverpool sometimes go into a competition with a team they put out like they're not that full.
They're not as if we lose, it's the less games. But I don't know. I might be a bit.
I think
it hurts more though because, for me, it hurts more because it's City and it's at Old Trafford, which I still care about even more. It's like they've come to Old Trafford and got a result and knocked out the cup, so that hurts more than just had we got knocked out the semi-final against Watford. I'd still be annoyed. But it's because you've lost another derby, you've lost at home.
But it's easier to have that kind of opinion when it's the third round, the fourth round, or maybe even not quarters, but maybe the round before it. It's if you go out, you're not as disappointed. But when you get close, as in the quarters and the semi-finals, it's just a little bit more aggravating. It's a bit more frustrating because you are saying, for example, if Liverpool do put out very weak sides, almost reserve teams sometimes that they do in the cup competitions, if they do get to the quarters and semis, then they're not going to do that, are they? They're going to obviously think, oh, maybe we can win this, so we're going to put a strong team out.
United used to do that. We used to play a weak inside, and so we got to the final, and then Fergie mix it up a little bit, but he'd have Ronaldo and Rooney and all them either on the bench or he'd start one of or two of them. So, we've done it in the past, but it's one of those, when we got knocked out on penalty to Derby, and you think, did that hurt more than losing to City in the semis? Probably
Definitely
not, but in a way, it's worse in it to get knocked out at home early doors. It's a derby. One thing that has kept everyone on a positive vibe this season has been our league form, and you could argue it sort of kept the pressure off Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a little bit. You look at the last 5 home games, obviously, you incorporate into those losses as well, the loss to City, but you look at the league form, drew to City in the league. These are just the home games, obviously, it's a home match. The big win against Leeds, the win against Wolves, the win against Villa. I mean, it's the league form that's been on a positive keel, and do you feel that that's what's most important at the minute, Baggers? Do you feel like that is what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be looking at and thinking, you know what, we've actually got to a place in the league where we're sort of doing all right, and that's what I should be worrying about?
I think a little bit, and I think that this game this weekend has kind of been, there's more importance now that we got knocked out of the Carabao Cup. I think that Ole wants to do well in the league, and I think that's been, you've seen that he's never sacked it off, he's never, rested players in the league. Every single league game he's put out the strongest team possible. And I think that, the cup game in the week, losing to City, means that Ole wants a trophy still. And I think the FA Cup is still a very viable chance to get a trophy with with teams that rotate. So I think that if we'd have got to that final, I think the pressure would have been off this weekend. I think a little bit more. I think it'd have gone, do you know what? Obviously, we want to do well, but if we do get knocked out, I've got a cup final in the bag. The league form's still going. And you're right that the league form has, upped things a little bit, because obviously got knocked out of the Champions League and put into the Europa League proper downer on the club. Everyone was, in on the end of the world.
It's double whammy, that, isn't it? Because it's like it's difficult because you get knocked out, but then you're still in Europa.
Yeah,
and you've got I know it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you've just been released from prison, but you've still got probation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're not quite still on license. You're not quite.
I wouldn't know anything about it.
So I've been told off. I watched it on a television program on that.
Line of Duty.
yeah.
Line of Duty.
Yeah, that's where I get all my criminal advice from. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's like it is a bit of a weird one with that. Do you know what? It just reminded me about that. We're talking about the Derby League Cup game and how it feels like worse when you get knocked out in the semis. I remember that League Cup game against Derby. Remember them penalties went on for ages. It was like
horrendous.
And my missus took my eldest daughter, and we were sat at the other side of the ground. And after the game, I went and met him, and my daughter was crying. And I was like, "What's up? What's up?" Yeah, she was like, "So Mrs. What she's crying for?" She's like, "She's crying because we got beat." It's like I'd almost forgot, like wasn't bothering. It was like, all right, it's annoying, but whatever. But yeah, she was crying her eyes out. It broke her heart that cup defeat to Derby. Ronnie, where do you stand with this 21 is coming tackle? I know this is a cup game, but we're looking at the league. Do you think Ollie should be looking at the league thinking we have a chance here? Or do you think we need to be a little bit more... I don't want to use the word irrational, because that implies that people are being irrational to think we've got a chance to win the league, but maybe a little more cautious.
Nah, nothing to be cautious of. Obviously, you don't want to be complacent, but you don't have to be cautious. We've got to believe, and we've got a right to believe. We're in a position, basically, if we win the next game or game in hand with 3 points ahead, why wouldn't we believe that we can win it? Why would you not look at it and think, all the teams have been inconsistent so far. Liverpool haven't been consistent, not been the same team they have been last season. A couple of people have their own opinions on why that is.
Say a couple of people. Yeah, one of whom is sat next to me, and it's not Baggers.
Chelsea are in growing pains with all the new players that they've had in the squad. Tottenham, you can't really ever believe in Tottenham, can you?
Tottenham finished third in the 2-horse race. Yeah. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, and Man City might be someone that we can worry about, but they've also had a slow start. So, in a very unusual season, we find ourselves in pole position, so to speak. Why shouldn't we look at it and think we can win this? I don't see why we should be cautious or worried about it. Obviously, you want to be a little bit careful about applying too much pressure on your own squad or coming out like in the media saying, "Oh, I believe we can win it." That's what we're aiming for. You don't want to apply that kind of pressure, but you still behind closed doors. You want to tell your players that you've got a real fighting chance of winning this league.
You look at it the minute. You go, if we win our next game, we get a point Liverpool, and then we beat Fulham. Means we've played everyone, and we're top of the league. It means everyone's, even if City win their games in hand, we're top of the league, which I don't think anyone really predicted at the start of the season. So there is a right to get excited about it a little bit. And like you said, the inconsistency of everyone. If we can get 6 points out, if we can beat Burnley and then beat Liverpool, it's a position to be in. And not just that, to be 6 points ahead of Liverpool, they're going to be completely demoralised by that, considering that at some point in the season everyone said they're going to, if they get any kind of run of form, they'll run away with it. To be 6 points ahead will be massive if we get those two results as well.
Obviously, we know this isn't a league game, but it's a game where Ollie may decide to mix it up because we've got big games coming up in the league and we are competing. So with that in mind, look at the predicted 11s. These are the teams that you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to go with, the 11 he's going to start. Baggers, I'll stay with you. Who have you gone for in your predicted 11 and why?
So my predicted 11, I've gone for, in goal, I've gone for Dean Henderson. I think he's going to stick in the cup run. I think he'll start there. Brandon Williams going at full-back. I think Wan-Bissaka needs a rest. Wouldn't be surprised if it is Fosu Mensah that maybe plays there. Centre-halves, I've gone for Axel Tuanzebe and Harry Maguire. I think Tuanzebe needs a fixture. I think he's good in the air. I think we'll obviously play against Troy Deeney. I think that he's someone we'll need in there. And also Harry Maguire, I just think plays every game. I think if he's fit, he'll play. I don't see him being rested. Tellez in there as not played this week. I still think he thinks of Luke Shaw as his number one. So I think that he'll probably get a rest, which I'm not too sure about with Luke Shaw, especially with the performance this week. McTominay, again, I think he's not going to get played against Burnley, so I've gone for him in there. Donny van der Beek playing in midfield. I'm not sure that's his position to to thrive in almost. But I think that we need to give players like Fred a rest. I think Matic will play in midweek against Burnley, so I think that he needs a bit of a break. So I've got Van der Beek in there, and then Greenwood's not played too many minutes. I see him starting. Juan Mata in the number 10, and Dan James left wing. And I've gone for Martial up top because I think that for as much as I think that Cavani should be probably coming back into the team for Burnley, and I think that Martial needs some goals, and I think that an FA Cup third round tie against Watford, he scored a great goal against them last year. I think that we need to get some goals in. Anthony Martial needs some confidence, so I've gone with Anthony Martial to start.
Cavani's still banned in it for this one, by the way. So yeah, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Obviously, that'll be the last game of his ban, and we can bring him back in. But no, it makes sense. I get where you're coming from in terms of resting certain players and bringing some players in. And no disrespect to Watford, I know we're going to get onto them in a bit, but it's not like we're going up against a Liverpool or a City or a Chelsea, even as someone who's very strong. You should think we've got a squad where we can stay competitive against a team like Watford and beat them by resting one or two. Ronaldo, who have you gone for in your 11 and why, mate?
I've gone for the same formation that he's been playing recently, the 4-4-2 diamond. I've gone for De Gea in goal. I think he returns after Henderson's derby game. Not performance, he wasn't bad, but I think
he did all right in the derby, quickly.
I think he did okay. I think his distribution was a little bit poor at times, but he wasn't too bad. I don't think he was at fault for either goal, but I think De Gea returns.
Fair enough.
And Tellez, left back, Bailly and Axel, centre halves. I think Bailly comes back into the team. I want to give Maguire a rest because I think he plays loads the same way that Bagger's reiterated. He plays every game, it seems like, but I think Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, I think you might want to rest him a little bit and have a look at Axel, get Bailly back in because he's been playing well when he has played. Brandon Williams right back, so give Wan-Bissaka a rest. I've gone for Matic in a holding role with Van der Beek and McTominay either side of him. Mata in the number 10 and Greenwood and Martial up front. And I've obviously would have gone for Cavani if he was fit. Not fit if he was not suspended. But I'm in the same ballpark of thinking that Martial needs to play because he needs to find a little bit of form. And I'm not sure that his starting position in the strongest team is consolidated at the moment. And especially if Cavani comes back and he's firing. So I believe he needs a game like this where he can get a bit of confidence, maybe a goal or two. And I think Greenwood was sharp when he came on against City as well. So he gets the start for me, and I think that's what we'll go for. A lot of players rested because a lot of players look tired against City, and we need to make sure that they're fit and firing for the Tuesday game against Burnley and obviously Liverpool the following week.
You're not worried at all? No Bruno, no Pogba?
No, I'm not worried because we should have enough quality in there to get a win. I know Watford are a decent side. They're in the Premier League last season and they're around fifth or sixth position in the Championship at the moment, so they are playing well. But I think there's enough in that to get the result, but you can always have the big hitters on the bench to come on if needed, but it's one of them games that you hope that you won't necessarily need to do that.
We should start doing that. We should start doing a predicted squad. Start bringing in the bring the bench in as well. Yeah, just for what we used to do. We used to have a ticker as well. We might start bringing that back. Give the lads behind the camera something to do. I'll go into my predicted 11. I've gone with a sort of in between as your two teams really. I've stuck with Dean Henderson in goal. I thought he did all right against City. I thought he was. I get where you come from his distribution, but I don't think it was that bad. And I think, to be honest with you, I think he's better at distributing the ball than De Gea is. I know that's not saying much. I just do. I think when the ball's played back to him, I know he had a bit of a stinker against Sheffield United, but I thought he did quite well. I've gone with a back four of Alex Tellez. I think Luke Shaw probably needs a rest. Harry Maguire for the same reason Baggers was talking about. I know he plays every game, but I think because he plays every game, he will carry on playing. That's my argument with that one. I've gone with Axel Tuanzebe. I think Eric Bailly, I want him back in the team, but I want him back in the team for the league games. And I think Axel can do a job against Watford. I know they've got a decent attacking options, but I still fancy him to do a job against them. I've actually stuck with Wan-Bissaka at right back. I don't know. Part of me feels like Wan-Bissaka would benefit just playing week in, week out sometimes. I don't know. I know he's played already this week, but I don't know if that sort of... He's a young, fit lad, and I just don't know if that routine might help him a little bit rather than dropping and coming back in. I don't know, because I feel his form's a bit up and down. Yep. So there's a case to be made, well, maybe he does need resting, or maybe a consistent run of games would help him. Either way, he's not quite the player he was in his first 6 months at United, and I'd like to see him get back to those levels because we know what a talented footballer he is. I've gone with Nemanja Matic in a holding role. I don't want to see 2 holding midfielders against Watford. Seriously, I might just lose my marbles if that happens. I've gone with Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek. Bruno, as you both mentioned about the fact that, how good he is and how important he is, but also needs a rest. So I think this is a game that if we are going to rest him, this is probably the one. And a front 3 of Mason Greenwood, Tony Marshall and Dan James. Marcus Rashford, I throw in the same bracket as Bruno of needing a rest. He looked leggy against City to me. He's not a bad player. Wasn't a great performance. And I think it's fatigue. I think it's catching up with him. He's been carrying injuries, carrying knocks and playing through them. And I think he just needs a week. And I wouldn't even have Marcus on the bench. I would just give him the day off. I think he needs a day off.
I think him and Bruno are the same.
Yeah.
I think the same thing. Just
Don't
don't have
see
him
Bruno on the
anywhere
pitch.
near the squad. I think
No.
you put Pogba there in your 11J, but I could potentially see him on the bench. He's the one you bring on if he doesn't start to kind of go, if we are struggling, if we do need a goal, you bring on Paul Pogba. But it's amazing how not having Cavani in and around the squad just shows we're still a bit lightweight up top. I saw it last night. We were looking at bringing on, you brought on Mason Greenwood, brought on Donny van de Beek at the end, but I think that Ollie was kind of going, well, if I bring on Donny van de Beek, I've either got to move him in the 6 or Pogba in the 6, so they don't really get the best out of them.
Yeah.
So I think that not having a Cavani where you can really go for it, you wouldn't have changed anything last night bringing Donny van de Beek on. You might have freshened things up a little bit, but you've not got a striker to throw on because Igalo just seems.
Yeah.
No, if we even named our bench, would we even name him on it?
It's
I
weird.
might do for this actually because it's his ex-club.
Ex-club.
And Ollie's a bit sentimental with things like that.
Ex-club last game because he's going at the end of
that's a
this
good point.
because he's
That's
not
a
going
very
to play
good point.
again.
Yeah.
I could see maybe him and Lingard starting. Imagine.
No. Anyway,
We're talking.
I
Go
thought
on.
Dan James starting was a stretch. but
No,
obviously
I mean,
that
listen,
seems to be
Dan
a
James
move
has started,
forward.
and he started against Leeds and I want to say Everton. I might be wrong.
Leicester.
Leicester, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you think Dan James has done himself justed with the little bit of opportunity that he has got in recent times?
I think against Leeds he did well. Got his goal. Contributed. So against Leicester, not as great. I think he's still in Ollie's thoughts, and I think a game like this against the Championship side, yeah, I think definitely. I think if Ollie's going to trust him enough to play him in league games, he'll definitely trust him enough to play him against a team like that. And I think, to be honest with you, I don't want to say this is his level because that's harsh, but I'd expect him to cause Watford problems. And if he can't, then we have got to have a serious conversation about Dan James' future at Manchester United Football Club, to be honest with you.
Big statement.
Well, it's a bold statement. These are bold times. We'll move on. Whatever that means. I don't even know.
What does that mean?
Don't even make any sense.
These
there.
are bold.
Let's not pretend that I've said something insightful. Or
These are
profound.
bold times.
These are bold times. Yes, Jay, they are. Well said. No, it's nonsense. We'll move on to Watford because they've got a good team. Watford, haven't they? Let's face facts. This isn't a poor Championship team. This is a team obviously got relegated, but are doing okay in the Championship. Have got a good team. Baggers, I'll start with you. Who's the players that you think United need to watch?
I always worry a little bit with Troy Deeney playing in any
Troy
team
Deeney.
because he's just, again, you put Harry Maguire in there, but we have always tended to struggle with any kind of out-and-out centre forward. And Watford have played 4-4-2 a lot this season. They've had a new manager come in a couple of weeks ago.
Well, they have a monthly
which
manager
they do.
at Watford, don't
They
they?
rotate. They have a rotation system of managers.
10-day contracts.
You do? Oh, yeah.
So they've had a new manager come in and he seemed to go towards this 4-4-2. Played Andre Gray and Deeney, and then we'll mention João Pedro a couple of times. He's played a lot of games this season and in this 4-4-2. And I think up against a Maguire and, I think that Matic gets rested because I think he'll play against Burnley for the same reason. But that's where I worry a little bit that we've got two teams that are going to play with two strikers. They're going to put the ball in the air. Matic can't play back-to-back games, it seems like, or at least start.
Yeah.
And I think he does a good job in those games. So I am worried a little bit about Troy Deeney. And like you said, they've got some very good players. Tom Cleverley, one of our players, he's played a lot of games this season, scored 3 goals.
Why are you laughing?
Don't you laugh at Tom
Tom
Cleverley.
Cleverley won a title. He's got as many
know what
title wins as Liverpool Football, Premier League title wins as Liverpool Football Club. Remember
Nah,
that?
it means a lot to me because he was very much part of the team that smashed the Gunners 8-2 at Old
I
Trafford.
love that. I
So,
love that
Hot player.
type of,
So it's brilliant.
I'm about that, yeah.
But yeah,
we ran the show in there that day.
Cleverley,
Him, Ashley Young and Danny Welbeck until he went off. The future.
yeah. Cleverley and Chalobah in midfield are two very good players. Ismail Assar that you've mentioned, that we talked about all the way through the summer as a potential option.
Yeah, we're looking at just mention Ismail Assar there. 18 appearances, 4 goals, 5 assists. You know, you said I mentioned him in the summer. I did. Me and you were doing the transfers lives, and when it was obvious that the Jadon Sancho story or rumours were just rumours, they weren't going to happen, I said as an alternative, I wouldn't have minded Sarr, and it wasn't just because he scored 2 goals against the Scousers. It was more than that. It's because he's a very good footballer, and as you pointed out there, you know, he's someone that United should be keeping an eye on if he plays against us. You were talking on the way over here, weren't you, about Pedro, who's a player, young player who's doing quite well for them. He's had a bit of a sort of not up and down time, but he's not been all plain sailing, but he seems to be doing quite well this season.
Yeah,
he was a youngster.
He was firing at the start. He was 18.
Yeah,
18 years old. He's a young Brazilian starlet that they've got, and he did start very well. I think he's not played recently. He's not been fit, but he's a very, very talented player when I've watched him, because I did watch a couple of Watford games. Not sure why. I was
about to say, you've got now better to do with life.
I'm not sure why. I think
Watford games.
I've got a mate. That's
all right. This is it. Your mate's in the team. We won't say it is.
Just having a look at. Sometimes you just throw a football game on it, championship game on, if it's got Watford on it. Sometimes
I bet you're the type of guy as well, aren't you, on it? If your mate's playing in the game, he's not playing that well. I bet you message him and text him and tell him.
Yeah, because I'm sure that he can reply to me right there and then. But,
let him know when he's finished.
When he comes in and goes,
then he gets a message from Ronnie saying, mate, you had a stinker, I watched that.
Nah, but he's got a lot of ability, and if he does play, he will cause us problems. He's quick, he's skillful. He looks like he can go a long way. You've heard it here. You've heard it here first. You've heard it here first.
That Ronaldo
There's
says,
too many
Pedro has got a future. He's got a future £40 million move to Everton, probably.
Probably the same way Richarlison. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, that's the MO there over there, isn't it?
But we can't forget about Andre Gray as well. He can be a handful.
It's weird you say handful when I'm amazed you mentioned Troy Deeney didn't use the word handful, because that's like the law. Yeah, because these are players, aren't they? That are physical players, old school type players. You know you're in for an afternoon. I think Troy Deeney always likes to say that, doesn't he? When he likes to give defenders a rough time of it and make sure they're up for it.
He loves talking about cojones and all that. So
he's gone. Do you know what? I used to love Troy Deeney, right? I did, because I thought his life story was great. You know, he'd been in trouble, he turned his life around. When the whole pandemic was going on, he spoke a lot of sense. And then now he writes a column in The Sun and comes out with clickbait nonsense on TalkSport, and I can't be doing with him anymore. Anyway, we'll move on. I hope he's not watching though, because he'll probably beat me up. Baggers, I'll start with you. What's your prediction?
I'm going to go for, I think it's going to be scrappy, because I think we will rotate, and I think it's going to be a 2-1 win to Manchester United. 2-1
win for Manchester United. Ronaldo, Brown, what are you saying?
I'm going for a 2-1 win also. I'm just going to copy Alex.
Copy your own work.
Nah, that's
come on.
Honestly,
that's what you think. That's what you think. That's
honestly, that's
tell you what to say.
That's genuinely the scoreline. I think it will be tight. They have enough going forward to score a goal, but us being United, we need to get over the line. I know there's a tendency for us to want to go into the game with a weakened squad, as we've mentioned earlier. But if you do end up slipping up, then it's 2 losses on a bounce, and them things can become a problem. So you want to get back to winning ways. I know you want to rest players. I know you want to be a bit cautious, but you don't want to pick up losing habits after you've found a little bit of momentum.
That's kind of it. It's not the fact that we want to go far in this competition, which we obviously do. We want to go and get to a cup final. We want to win trophies. But at the same time, you know, United were on that fantastic run of form. And even if we got knocked out in the week, if we go on to this weekend, if we win this game, beat Burnley, things seem to be back to normal again. But, you know, it's one of them, like you said, if you lose this, you've now lost 2 games on the bounce, and you know, everyone's kind of, the doom and gloom's back around United, which you don't want. You want everyone to come out firing, but like I said, a little bit nervous with the rotating of the squad.
You two are going 2-1. I think you've both been far too negative. We're going to smash these back to Hertfordshire, whoever they're from. I'm going to go with 4-1.
4-1.
Yeah. I think we'll give them a good hiding, and they might get a late Pedro consolation goal. Those have been our predictions. Don't forget to check out these guys on socials even. Ronaldo, what's your?
It's Ronaldo Brown _98.
Been flying on socials him lately, hasn't he, Mr. President? Hey, Mr. Gone Viral. Baggers, where can people find you?
Baggers _Alex everywhere, pretty much.
And you know where to find me. I'm just usually lingering
around. So you've got your name the wrong way around?
Yeah.
Yeah, Baggers, what have you done that for? God. letting the side down. Yes, check these guys out. You know where to find me. If you're not doing already, make sure you're checking out the other videos and subscribing to the channel. We appreciate your support. So give us a subscribe, and you can check out the members section as well. We've just had a giveaway. We're going to be doing other giveaways as we're moving forward as well. We've got some extra content on there, so you can click the join button and have a look at that. This has been the Watford FA Cup preview. Thanks for watching.